What up, peeps? Welcome to Late Night Hobbies. I'm Tony.
I'm Cody.
And welcome new Druhkari detachment because, we kind of had some really strong opinions, me more than Willis, and I'm sure he's going to remind me of that. And while we have our reservations, there are some exciting news in the world of Druhkari players. Willis, would you like to tell us what that was?
Are you referring to them winning a GT of sorts in Canada?
Fucking GT. It was not a GT.
It was a regional league.
RT calls itself an RT. You can call it a 5-round RT if you want. I don't care.
Whatever.
But yeah, they won a pretty prolific tournament. Like, godly, like the weekend that the data slate came out. What the hell?
Literally weekend.
But so we decided that was enough of a reason to dive back into the Druhkari and really explore the index, which we haven't really done before. Take a look at some of the units, and we're thinking that at the end of this, we're going to try and go over some lists that have been played, some lists that are being tried right now, and come up with a list for ourselves. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just go ahead and start by going over where we came from. So the army rule for Druhkari right now is the same. It's remained unchanged for the data slate. It's power from pain. If your entire army faction is Druhkari, units from your army with this ability can become empowered through pain. This is done using pain tokens. You'll start the battle in a 2,000-point competitive strike force game. You're going to start with 3 pain tokens, and you will gain a pain token anytime an enemy unit is destroyed or anytime an enemy unit fails a battle shock test. You can keep all of your pain tokens to the side of the table. They're considered to be your pools of pain tokens, similarly to the way that Eldari have a fate dice pool. And depending on the phase that you spend these pain tokens in, the way it works is you'll select one unit from your army with the power of pain ability, and until the end of the phase, they'll be considered empowered at the cost of 1 pain token. If you empower during the movement of the charge phase, you will re-roll advances. If you do it in movement, and if you do it in the charge phase, you'll re-roll charge rolls, which is pretty good in itself. But if you do it in the shooting or the fight phase, in the shooting phase, you will re-roll all hits, and in the fighting phase, you'll re-roll all hits and improve the armor penetration of all your attacks by 1, which is actually pretty fucking elite, as you're going to see a lot of these Druhkari units. That's exactly what they need, is to re-roll all hits in melee with an additional AP, and I think you're going to see that a lot. Now, the detachment that they've been running with is Real Space Raiders, which is not by any means a bad detachment. It's just not a very strong. You've got detachments in this game right now that.
Let's be honest, Tony. It's a bad detachment.
So the way that it works is at the start of the battle, you'll start with an additional pain token for each of the following that your army includes. If it has 1 Archon at least, 1 Succubus at least, and 1 or more Homunculus at least. Now, having more than 1 Archon doesn't give you more than 1, but you'll gain 1 pain token for each of these. So if you were running a list for this detachment, you would basically start with 6 instead of 3. That's not bad, but what you're going to find is that throughout the course of a game, there's so many ways to access these pain tokens, and really not a 3 versus 6 isn't really going to be enough to spam it, which I guess is what they were going for. And at the same, it doesn't really affect the game very much, and I think that's the biggest problem with the detachment. Going over their stratagems real quick. Alliance of Agony is a 1 CP battle tactic. You can use it in any phase on an Archon, Succubus, and a Homunculus army, so you'll target one of each of them. Discard 1 pain token from your pain token pool, and until the end of the phase, all 3 of those models and their units are empowered. You can only use this stratagem if you are able to select all 3 of those targets. So assuming that you're playing this the way they want it to, that's actually a really strong stratagem, especially to be a battle tactic.
100% agree. Yeah.
Go ahead, Willis.
3 units with 4 rerolls to hit, or 3 units with reroll charge on a go in. I mean, you're essentially paying 1 CP to. I think about it from a charge phase.
Right.
You know, if you've got 3 iffy charges, you pay 1 CP and you ensure a reroll on all 3, as opposed to 1 CP and getting to reroll one of them.
For 1 CP, you triple your pain token economy, and it really allows you to spend them more. You know, basically the real Space Raiders to me just kind of seems like the detachment that they designed to spam this stuff. It just needs to be reworked, I think. I would expect that it probably becomes stronger in the Codex. The second one, CP, you have another battle tactic. It's called Quicksilver Reactions. You can use it in the opponent's shooting phase or fight phase just after an enemy has selected its targets. You'll select 1 Druhkari unit from your army that was selected as the target of attacks. And until the end of the phase, you subtract 1 from the hit roll. So it's not stealth. So you literally, it's just -1. It works in melee. That's a pretty damn good ability, with the only restriction being you cannot target a Homunculus Coven's unit from your army with this stratagem. So another one that's pretty good for 1 CP battle tactic. It's like that you're really getting some versatility with. I think it's one of the strengths of this one is you just have a really good pain token economy, and you've got a fairly good CP economy, because all of these stratagems but one are a single command point, and half of them are battle tactics. So going on
that one being not stealth, meaning that it can also be used in melee, is pretty nice.
So going on to the third one, for 1 CP, this is another battle tactic. It's called Insensible to Pain. You'll use it in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase just after targets have been selected. And this one, you will target a Homunculus Coven's unit, which is the one that's restricted from the last one, that was just selected as the target of the attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So your entire army has access to a -1 to hit, excluding your Homunculus Coven's units, but they get access particularly to a battle tactic subtract 1 to wound. And it's just, there's a lot of really tanky stratagems that you're taking a look at here. And I'm glad that you can't stack these, but at the same time, I kind of wish that you could.
Yeah, so, it'll probably make them better.
You're not going to believe this. Prey on the Weak. It's 1 CP. Willis, you want to guess what kind of stratagem this is?
Battle tactic.
It's a battle tactic. This is the 4th battle tactic. When you're shooting phase, the target will be 1 Cabal unit from your army and 1 enemy unit that is below half strength. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack against the enemy unit, reroll all wound rolls. So with a pain token, you're rerolling all hits and all wounds for 1 CP with a battle tactic. It's like, golly.
The problem is it's targeting a unit that's already below half strength, so.
Right, but it kind of feels like it's like a clutch stratagem. It's like, damn, I really wish that fucking Ravager would have blown up that knight or something. He's got like 12 wounds left on him. Maybe this unit of grotesques or something can finish him off if we empower them. So they've also got access to Strike and Fade, it works essentially the same way that it does in Tau. It's at the end of your shooting phase. Now, the difference between Tau is it's at the end of your shooting phase, but the target is 1 Druhkari unit. It does not require them to have fired like they do in Tau. So I don't know why they call it Strike and Fade. They should just call it Fade. And then they can immediately make a normal move. Until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to declare a charge and cannot embark within a transport at the end of this move. So that's the difference between Tau. I believe Tau's doesn't say that you can't embark, but you also have to have shot. Let me see.
Well, doesn't it only apply to jetpack units, and they can't get in transports anyways? So it'd be a little redundant.
That is true. I believe you have to have the jetpack and the fly keyword. If your unit is not with... So, okay, this is interesting. You select 1 Tau Empire battlesuit that can fly, whose attacks have been resolved this phase. If your unit is not within engagement range, it can make a normal move. If it does, your unit cannot declare a charge. So Strike and Fade for Druhkari does not say that you can't be in engagement range. So am I understanding this right to say that for 2 CP you can normal move out of engagement?
So my mind tells me no. I would imagine, well, because it specifies they make a normal move, leaving
Right.
engagement will not be a normal move. So I would say no.
I don't disagree with that. It's interesting that it's specifically worded that they can't be in engagement range.
Yeah, Clay in chat
Yeah.
said the same thing about the
Oh,
because it's a fallback move, not a normal move.
okay. So the last one is Acrobatic Display. This is another Epic Deed stratagem, which if I didn't mention, Strike and Fade is also Epic Deed. It's in your charge phase. You'll target one Witch Cult unit from your army, and until the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to declare a charge even if it fell back or advanced this turn, which is another just monumentally good stratagem. The stratagems in this detachment are actually really good, in my opinion.
I don't disagree.
And I think that is one of the strengths. I think what fails this detachment is just a really subpar detachment rule that just doesn't affect the game much.
What? Yeah, you're just getting more of what you already have, and what you already have is good, but it's not great. So
And now we're going to go on to enhancements, which I'm also a little less impressed with. But I don't really think enhancements make or break a detachment so much as the rule itself, but they do matter. So Crucible of Malediction, it's 10 points, so really cheap, but you can only put it on a homunculus. Once per battle at the start of any shooting phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. When it does, every enemy unit within 12 inches must take a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from the test if the bearer's unit is currently empowered. Each time a Psyker unit fails this test, it suffers day 3 mortal wounds. So if you have 10 points, this is, throw it on there, I guess. But Cody and I have said it before, and I'll say it again. Out of turn battle shock is just not incredibly effective, especially when you're talking about a 12-inch bubble of it. It's once per game. It's because you're not going to stop the opponent from scoring. At best, maybe a priority target can't use a stratagem like Armor of Contempt or something on it. But when you're talking about if you empower the homunculus, which I assume that you will before you use this, it's at a -1. So your opponent still almost has a 50% chance with most armies of just passing the test on any units that you really want it to fail. Kind of
yeah,
irrelevant.
yeah. I mean, what you said, potential armor contempt or something like that, is literally the only use this would have.
Right. If you've got 10 points, go ahead and throw it on there, and there may be games where it can be really clutch, but I just don't see it as mattering really much. I think probably the strongest thing you can do with that detachment is prevent an Imperial Knight from rotating his ion shield. But like I said, it's basically once per game, you have a 50% chance of doing it.
It's really bad too because it's once per game. If it was like once per round, it would
But
be
if it
fine.
was 20 points, I would be happier with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I still wouldn't take it for that, but
So, Labyrinthian Cunning for 30 points, the Archon model only. Each time you select the various unit as the target of a stratagem, roll a d6. Adding 3 to the result if the stratagem being used is Alliance of Agony. On a 4-up, gain a command point, which, as you know, all of these stratagems are 1 CP, so bada bing. And wouldn't you know it, Alliance of Agony, the one that makes this succeed on a 2-up. Well, I'm sorry. It says add 3 to the test.
but
So,
ones are considered autofill.
okay. That's another weird wording. Like, if you wanted it to fail on a 1, why would you give it?
Yeah,
Why not do it +2?
yeah.
Um, but that is the one where you select 1 Archon, 1 Succubus, and 1 Homunculus and empower them all. So essentially, like I said, this detachment is a really good pain token economy and a really good CP economy. I do think that Labyrinthian Cunning is one of the auto takes here, my opinion. I think that's a phenomenal enhancement,
Agree.
especially for a unit that you're going to put in every list.
How many points was it?
It's 30, so it's a little expensive, but it's pretty much the only way that I've seen so far for them to generate CP, and I just think it's really good because it doesn't even have like I said, it's basically for 30 points, you're gonna almost indefinitely make the one of the best stratagems of this detachment free, and you can just spam it every round.
Yeah.
Next one is Blood Dancer. It's for a succubus only, and it'll improve the attacks and the armor penetration of characteristics of the bearer's melee weapons by 1. While the bearer is empowered, you'll improve them both by 2 instead. 20 points for empowered AP plus 2? What the fuck? Yes! Yes!
Yeah, that's seems solid. Honestly, it would depend on what you could put it on. Succubus only. I'm not sure what 100% has that keyword, but yeah,
Well, the succubus is one of the 3 that you take in this detachment to start with an additional command point.
for sure. Start with
So
the additional 3. Yeah,
I'm realizing as I'm reading this that I may have just read Crucible of Malediction and decided that most of these were unimportant without giving the rest the attention they deserve, because I've just read the last one as well. And honestly, all of these except for Crucible of Malediction are just phenomenal enhancements, because AP plus 2 and plus 2 attacks on really any melee unit in the game, I assume she's got at least damage 2, is just phenomenal
yeah,
for 20 points. Art of Pain for 25 points. This one, I just read it and I was like, God damn it, this is another auto take. So I sound like that aged like milk. For 25 points, it goes on any Druhkari model only. In your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, you gain 1 pain token. And I mean, come on. What are we talking about? Put that shit on your guys.
yeah, pretty solid.
So actually, I'm actually really impressed with 3 out of 4. Because they really work well with the army. But like I said, you don't really have the problem with real Space Raiders is you don't really have a detachment rule. You know, my
Yeah,
best
that's
I can make is that Eldari has the same ability, and it's on a 100-point models data sheet. It's not the entire selection that you make for mustering your army, and that's where it hurts Druhkari, because that's not a bad ability if it was an enhancement or if it was on a unit's data sheet, but it's not. It's literally the only rule that you take into the game, and it's kind of like not having a detachment at all.
yeah. I think to make this detachment better, because it has some really good synergies, and honestly, I can just reading it fully. I can see how faction specialists have pulled off against all odds a GT or 2 win over the last few months. But I think if you replaced Crucible of Malediction with the army rule as an enhancement and gave it a real army rule, I agree. I think it would be a pretty solid detachment.
And I really hope that Real Space Raiders isn't like just left in the dust with the Codex. I hope that they do rework the ability, because I think that everything else is like pretty solid.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
the stratagems are really good. I think that the enhancements are really good, and one of the reasons that I think Druhkari has immediately jumped up is because obviously you've got a bunch of high level players giving them attention now, because they've just been essentially completely reworked without a codex, which is they're the only index in the game with 2 detachments right now, which is already attention grabbing.
It doesn't have a codex, though.
Right, but in addition to that, you know, points were already cut. I think there were a few more points cuts on select units in the data slate as well, and I think that was one of the things that was hurting both Druhkari and Tau, is that neither one of those armies were necessarily bad. They were just, for what they were, there were so many armies in the game with better abilities that can put units on the table for cheaper. And I mean, for Tau particularly, all they had to do was, I think they cut the list originally by like 300 points, because I had put 3 broadsides in, and completely changed the game for me and for a lot of people, and immediately jumped them from like a 38% win rate to 48% like overnight. And while Druhkari at the same time got similar points cuts, you could tell that more so than Tau, the lack of a real detachment rule hurt them a lot.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree.
But Now, we have a brand new detachment, which we went over the other day. It is called Sky Splinter Assault, and its detachment rule is Reign of Cruelty. Each time a Druhkari unit from your army disembarks, until the end of the turn, units' ranged weapons have ignores cover, and that unit's melee weapons have the lance ability. Now, I think this, so I didn't really deep dive into it, into the abilities themselves on stream in episode 2. But for the record, ignores cover and lance are phenomenal. I'm not super impressed that it's only in a turn that you disembark, but it's a detachment rule. It's going to invoke a particular play style. I would have to see it on the table. But the one that I'm more impressed with than anything else is the ignores cover. Because as somebody that plays Tau religiously, which is an army that doesn't possess a lot of the AP that other armies do, I understand how vital ignores cover as an ability really is. And from looking at the data sheets today, Druhkari appears to struggle with a lot of AP in kind of the same way. So I think that that's a big change for Druhkari. Giving them ignore cover is going to turn a lot of these AP1 and AP2 weapons into legitimate threats. Whereas before, they were basically AP0 and AP1 all the time and didn't really matter.
Yeah, totally agree. You're also going to notice that, which most people know, there's a lot of synergy with getting out and back into transports. So I think the army rule will be a lot more prevalent than we initially thought due to that. So it's not going to be like there's one turn that this is relevant. Like I think this is going to be a lot more relevant than we thought.
Right. And the other thing is, when I was playing against Druhkari, and I played a couple games against it this edition, I feel like I was really just seeing people using pain tokens for the rerolls to hit in the shooting and the fight phase. And I think that with the way this Sky Splinter Assault works with Lance, I think there's going to be a lot more empowering in the charge phase, particularly because when you throw that Lance as a detachment ability into the mix, you really incentivize, I need to make this charge more than I need to re-roll all hits. Genuinely. And if you don't have enough pain tokens to do both, at least for me, I'd be securing that charge. Depending on the range. Obviously, if it's like a 6-inch charge, I may command re-roll it. But like if you're dropping out at 9 inches, because what I'm thinking after reading through this again is strat reserving your boats, pulling them out, then deploying 3 inches, and then charging 9 inches, I think has a lot of potential for kind of like that whole, the kind of Kauyon way of playing of where it's like lead them up the board and then jump out of strategic reserves and just 18-inch charges basically is what I was thinking in my head. 6-inch deploy from the edge, 3-inch deploy from the tank, and then a 9-inch charge.
Yeah. Very valid.
But I'm going to let you take over from here, Willis, and not talk my ass off. And I'm going to let you, if you want to dive into the stratagems.
I'm happy to see that you're excited now.
Well, like I said, I did sit down when we decided that we were going to deep dive into this, and I read through everything, and I was kind of like, putting it all on paper in front of me, I was like, I could definitely see what I would do. Like we're talking about building a list at the end of the stream. I would definitely be putting as many boats as I could fit in strat reserves, and it would be an 18-inch threat range off the sides of the table. So coming in from both sides is the entire midfield, and I think there's a lot of potential for that to be pretty deadly because you ignore cover and you get lance. You're going to see that the units that are going to get out of these transports are those 2 buffs are going to work really well with some of the units you're about to see.
For sure. So we'll jump right into enhancements. So, and I don't have the points cost in front of me if you want to follow up with that.
Yep.
I will start with Phantasmal Smoke.
That's 20 points.
20 points. Druhkari model only. While the bearer's unit is wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Druhkari transport, models in the bearer's unit have the benefits of cover and the stealth ability.
So this is literally 20 points for, whoops, I failed that charge.
Yeah. Stealth is, if you think about the best shooting armies in the game, Votan, Tau, whatnot, like those armies hit on 4s. So and yes, they do have ways to get better than that, but if you can negate that with stealth, that's pretty valuable.
Well, so for me, I think about that exactly the opposite. When you're talking about benefits of cover and stealth, I feel like the shooty armies in the game have ways around that. What doesn't are the melee armies in the game. I'm thinking Custodes and Orcs. If you have the benefits of cover and stealth, they can both just skip that phase because they're not going to do a damn thing to you, if I'm being completely honest.
I disagree a little on Custodes, having played them a lot recently. But making orcs just basically army-wide hit on 6s.
And
is,
anything.
You're not killing, even though they're toughness 3/1 wound models, you're not killing anything.
Go ahead and run, brother. I'm okay with it. Go ahead and shoot your shooting phase this turn.
Yeah, that's
but maybe I was a little dramatic to say that about Custodes, but it's just in my game that I played against Robbie the other day. I was not really, the shooting phase was not a threat to me whatsoever, and one of those was because I run a lot of stealth infiltrators between the stealth shoots and the ghost kills, and the man could not land a hit roll to save his life.
Even with stealth, I mean, Custodes are hitting on 3s, so.
Oh my god, I'm certain I wonder if he's done something wrong, because I was certain I was getting hit on 4s, but that's an argument for another time.
No. That would be on track, but Spiteful Raider is the next one.
It's going to be 10 points.
10 points. Druhkari model only. Each time the bearer's unit destroys an enemy unit in the fight phase, if that enemy unit was within range of one or more objective markers, when the bearer's unit was selected to fight, you gain 1 additional pain token.
So
this to me, it feels like a lot of ifs and buts.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about, and my opinion on this remains unchanged from the other day. It's just really, really, really situational. It's another one where, yeah, if you got 10 points, throw it on there. But the chances of this being on the unit that destroys the opponent unit, and they're on an objective marker, is just like, I mean, come on, y'all. I feel like you're going to have to put too much work to plan around this enhancement for what it actually does.
1000% agree. Like you said, if you've got 10 points left over and you just throw it in, and then it accidentally happens once a tournament, sure.
Exactly. Accidentally is exactly what I'm thinking.
Because I'm not planning anything around that.
Have a nice day.
So the next one is Sadistic Fulcrum.
That one's going to be 15 points.
15 points. Druhkari model only. Each time you expend a pain token to empower the bearer's unit in the shooting phase, you can select 1 friendly Druhkari transport within 3 inches of the bearer's unit until the end of the phase. That transport is also empowered. So for 1 pain token, you can give the boat and the unit 4 rolls to hit.
One for me is kind of one of the auto takes here, because the boats have great weapons, and I can definitely see, the turn 2 disembark and then still giving that. It's just pain token economy because you're starting with 3, and so I feel like this one really does matter for that second turn going into engagement.
100% agree. The final one is called Nightmare Shroud.
This one's going to be 20 points.
So Druhkari model only. Each time the bearer's unit disembarks from a transport until the end of the turn, enemy units cannot use the Fire Overwatch Dragon to shoot at the bearer's unit.
I'm going to let you start on.
So I think this is cute. It's another one that I feel like if you have 20 points, sure, maybe you just need to rework your list. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be another one that, it's going to come up once a tournament, and you're going to be like, oh, hey, this was worth the 20 points.
Right. I think that for me, it's like out of over 100 games I've played in 10th edition, marked and unmarked, I think there is exactly one time I have fired Overwatch on units disembarking from a transport, and it was because they touched an objective and I could reroll all wounds. Uh, uh, this is irrelevant. And I think it's going to be irrelevant to the people that might take it. For 20 points, literally take any of the other three.
Yeah, I mean, and like we said, if you come down to 20 points left in your list, you potentially could just rework your list a little and fit those points in elsewhere.
Or, Phantasmal Smoke is 20 points.
Yeah, I think I would definitely just rather have that.
But this detachment also has a pretty phenomenal CP economy because while it lacks the spamming battle tactics of the other one, it's only got one battle tactic. All of these stratagems are 1 CP, which means you got a lot of potential here to, really work around these. So I'm going to let you read these ones off as well, Willis, but all of these are 1 command point. For the record, I don't know if you can see that or not.
All right. Vicious Blades. So it's, like you said, 1 CP. When the fight phase just after Druhkari transport from your army has selected its targets, that transport after your target that transport. Effect after your transport has fought, select 1 enemy unit that was the target of 1 or more of those attacks and roll 1d6 for each model embarked within your transport, adding 1 to the result if the embarked model is a Rax model. For each 5+, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound to a maximum of 6 mortal wounds.
Okay, that's I don't know what a Rax is. I don't recognize that one after reading through it, but that's not a bad strategy by any means. I love anywhere that I can get some mortal wounds out of something, because I think what you and I were talking about was like combining this with like a you tank shock and then use this, and you do have the potential for 12 mortal wounds, even though that's a little expensive.
Yeah. The problem I would have with it is that, number one, we'll get to it later, but Rax aren't great. Number two, it would depend on the unit size, I think. If you've got a 10-man and you're rolling 10 dice looking for 5s, sure. But if you're rolling 5 dice,
Yeah.
it's a 5-man unit. That you're not getting much out of that for a CP.
To pause for one moment, I see that we've got like 6 people viewing the stream right now. I just want to take a moment to mention that if you guys enjoy the stream and everything, make sure to follow us. And if you enjoy the conversation, enjoy hobbying in general, or just WarHammer, make sure you join the official Discord and check us out on YouTube, because we will have all the links in the description. And I felt like I should mention that because I know a lot of people don't know that we have a Discord for all of this. And if you're trying to catch the stream while it's live, that's the best way to follow that information.
Agree completely.
I'm glad you agreed that they should join that Discord. Rules is written.
What am I supposed to do? Disagree?
I guess. I mean, it would not be good for business.
So the next strat is called Pounce on the Prey. When your movement phase just after a Druhkari infantry unit from your army disembarks from a transport that made a normal move that phase, target that infantry unit. Effect until the end of your turn, your unit is eligible to declare a charge.
So this is less valuable with the little asterisk at the end. It's valuable for that coming in the center of the board through strategic reserves. This was another thing that made me think of that, is because coming out of strategic reserves, you can't disembark because you made a normal move, is my understanding, and this stratagem allows you to do that.
No, they clarified that in the update, saying that you can get out of your transport if it arrives from reserve. You just have to also follow the 9-inch rule
when you disembark.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So they can't disembark within 9 inches and get a closer charge. Okay.
Correct. So, but you could still get the 9-inch charge.
The question: do you believe that this stratagem would allow you to effectively ignore that ruling?
I do not think so. I think this is more intended for boats that are already on the board, moving 14 inches, depositing a unit an extra 3, so that's a unit moving 17 inches and then charging.
Right. So in that regard, it's pretty good. I don't really know if deploying the units out of the transports one at a time is really great. But if you have one that really has to move this turn, I do think that this is a valuable stratagem throughout the game. For the record, Wolfie does not break the strategy because you're still making a 9-inch charge almost regardless. It's still an 18-inch threat range for the most part, and empowering allows you to reroll the charges. So this does not break anything for me, but it's important to know that you're not looking at a 6-inch charge; you're looking at a 9.
Well, it's still it extends threat range, which is very important for melee armies. You'll see later Incubi, they really like this in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I actually see this as more of a win because knowing that they said that if you reserve, you can disembark means that Wolfie, in my opinion, it actually makes it better because you went from 1 6-inch charge to the potential of like 3 9-inch charges in the same turn. And for me, that's how I play, Wolfie. I'm about to drop everything on your ass. It's all or nothing.
Tony does not understand the trade mechanic of the game of Warhammer.
What do you mean?
It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing, baby.
If I don't put everything on the table, I can't use it all.
Fair enough. The next stratagem is Wraith-like Retreat. When end of the fight phase, target one Druhkari infantry unit from your army that fought this phase. Effect, your unit can make a normal move or fallback move, but unless it is witches, it must end that move wholly within 3 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of a transport, friendly Druhkari transport, and must embark within that transport at the end of the move.
So I like this one. It just, golly, it just sucks that you can only use it once. You know what I mean? Because the idea of charging something, meleeing it, and then immediately just completely fucking vanishing. Assuming that your models are not dead, which is where I kind of get a little iffy about it. Because it's like, if in my head, it's like the way that this works is I would want to use this after fighting a unit that I don't kill. And the only reason I would want to get back in the transport is like because they're going to kill me, in which case, I don't know. It kind of feels like it's just one extra unit that's just going to deploy next turn. I don't really see it as defending you from anything, if that makes sense. Because it's like either you're dead or you're not. And if you're not dead, why don't you just take the I'm going to fight first next turn?
Well, I think about this from like a skirmish standpoint in the sense of I have this unit that's going to jump out of this transport, go kill these 4 Kroot hounds, and then jump back in the transport so that it's safe for your turn.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So it's like you're thinking, I'm going to blow this unit out of the water and then get back in the transport so I can make another 14-inch move. I'm not going to use it to retreat from an engagement I'm in because I'm probably dead anyway.
Correct. I send my glass cannon toughness 3 models in with, if the thing survives the contact, they're going to die anyway. So I would look at this more as killing skirmish units.
That makes more sense. Okay, I agree with that.
So the next one is the only battle tactic in this detachment. It is called Skyborn Annihilation. When your shooting phase, target one Druhkari unit from your army that disembarked from a transport this turn and has not been selected to shoot this phase. Effect, until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by the models in your unit have the sustained hits 1 ability or sustained hits 2 ability instead if it is a Cabalite warrior unit.
Which, for the record, Cabalite war. Golly, this just makes them like really good. Just because it's basically a regular unit of infantry that can take specialty weapons. Nothing crazy in the world, but just giving them sustain hits too, and they're ignoring cover now. I'm just super impressed by that. I think that's got a lot of potential. So, just because real quick I want to mention it is that at base, 110 points, you get 10 Cabalite warriors that all have splinter rifles, and the splinter rifle is where's it out here?
I think you can put a dark lance in there too.
Yeah, they can take like one of every fucking special weapon. The dark lance is like D6 plus 2 heavy. It's
a lot of
really impressive. And the splinter rifles with sustain hits too are because they've got assault and anti-infantry 3 up, so they are 8P0, which is what I think hurts it. But
I think this is.
But I think that it's got a lot of potential to turn them into a really legitimate threat.
Well, I think you pair this with a pain token, and all of a sudden, a Cabalite warrior unit that probably statistically doesn't pick up like a Termagant unit, for example, all of a sudden wipes it off the face of the earth.
Right, or the same thing, like anything with that magic anti-infantry 3 up keyword. I think that with sustain hits 2 and fishing for all hits, you just turn this bad boy into a unit of fire warriors.
Yeah, don't disagree.
And I look forward to seeing some really, really dumb exchanges with these warriors getting out and doing that.
Next we have Swooping Mockery. So when your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move, one Druhkari transport from your army that is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units and is within 9 inches of the enemy unit that just ended that move, your transport can make a normal move up to 6 inches.
Sorry, Agron, not this time.
Yeah, we're going to turn that 6-inch charge into a 12-inch charge. Thank you, come again.
24 inches up the board? Should have had 30.
Yeah, I think that's I love anything that lets you move out of phase, so I think that's a really good strat.
And it's countered, so the other one, Night Shield, which I hate to tell you to do all the stratagems and then the other one, but I wanted to go over the point that I think that the Night Shield for 1 CP, it's in your opponent's shooting phase after they select targets. You'll select a vehicle that was targeted and give it a 4-up invul. So the Swooping Mockery is kind of like a defensive stratagem for against charges and stuff. And then Night Shield works in shooting, but I just think it's a huge shame that the Night Shield is only in the shooting phase, because I really think that melee is already going to be really tough against these vehicles, because it's just in my experience, I find melee walking around with a lot more strength than most ranged weapons people are carrying. And the fact that you can't throw that 4-up invul in melee, where I also feel like AP tends to be higher, is rough.
I think AP overall in melee is more consistent than it is in shooting. I think it's a lot easier to find AP2 melee than it is AP2 shooting.
Right.
So I completely agree.
But, so you do have a defensive stratagem for both melee. And you can't really call it a defensive stratagem against melee, because what it is it's a defensive stratagem against charging. But if they make the charge, you're a sitting duck. And it's good, but it's not crazy. But however, Night Shield is super good because I think a lot of these transports have a 6-up invul or something. We'll find out in a second. Off the top of my head, I think it's 6-up invul. And going to a 4-up against a las cannon is all right, let's play.
Yeah, even the Swooping Mockery. Like I said, I love out of phase movement, because I think about oh, you drew Secure No Man's, and I'm just going to barely touch this one objective with a stealth suit or a Recruit Hound, whatever the case is, and I take it with 1 OC. Okay, well, I'm going to pay 1 CP to jump my OC3 transport onto it. Good luck.
One of the problems I had with this, where I said that I didn't think this was that good on the stream the other night, is because Because this is effectively rotate ion shields. That's what this stratagem is. That's what it does. That's the way to
Yep.
think about it. And the reason why rotate ion shields works really well for knights is because you're really walking around with like 5 or 6 really monstrously tough models. And especially in Imperial Knights, you can pretty much cover a third of your army in that 4-up invuln. But when you're talking about an army that's, a detachment that's based around spamming dedicated transports, it's like, with no ability to duplicate this in a turn, you're basically just telling me it's the same thing as doing like a lone op that allows me to reallocate my targets. It's like, yeah, this one activation is not going to do as well, but I can just pick a different boat. Obviously there are going to be instances where one boat is like super important and you're like, okay, I have to have this 4-up invuln now. But,
Yeah,
I'm just.
I think it allows you to push if you play it smartly and all of your other boats are hidden and you push this one out and then pop a 4-up invuln,
Right.
that could be good.
And then, like I said, if this worked in melee, I would think more highly of it. But the fact that it doesn't hurts it, because I think that melee is a real big threat to a lot of these. And then it's at the same time, you get devastating wounds coming to the mix, yada yada. I just think it sounds stronger than it may actually be in the course of a game. But obviously, it's a 4-up invuln for 1 command point. I don't have any problems with it. I would, if it was in every army, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, for sure.
Can we get a core stratagem 4-up invuln? When?
No, thank you.
Damn it. What do you mean Fire Warriors can't have a 4-up invuln and -1 to wound?
That sounds toxic.
Ghoul's like, when? Anyway, enjoy spending 100 points on that with your Rubric Marines, asshole.
Yeah, he's like, you're telling me I don't have to take a sorcerer?
Well, that's 100 points back when that stratagem exists. So now they get to take apart the data sheets of this army, and we'll just go alphabetically. Do you have this pulled up in the app? Because I think there's like 20 units to go over, so nothing crazy, but we'll go over these and then we'll talk about a list, and we'll start with like the Chad of Druhkari, the Archon. This guy I've always been impressed by this data sheet. I just think it's really good. So he's got an 8-inch movement, toughness 3, a 4-up save, 4 wounds, 6 leadership, OC 1. So, basically a leader character profile. It's nothing crazy. 2-up invulnerable save.
Yeah. Hope you don't get hung up on that one.
You cannot re-roll invulnerable saving throws made for this model. And the first time that it's failed until the end of the battle, he no longer has an invulnerable saving throw. But this is basically just you can't. I see it as a you can't precision me rule. It's basically the way I see it. Because if you can't dedicate a large volume of fire into this guy, it's a hat trick that you get through that 2-up invul. I'm sorry. It's just, there will obviously be games where they roll the 1 the first time and it's like, oh my God. But 90% of games, you're not going to kill this guy with precision. And that's going to be a problem when we go through this.
Yeah, I think the only reliable way to kill this guy is precision that also has death wounds.
Does that even exist?
I can spam it in Templar should I choose.
Okay. Oh, man. Well, the thing that sucks about that is devastating wounds are always applied last. So you really don't even want devastating wounds because it's not going to go on him until after his 2-up soaks up everything else.
True.
So his ranged weapons, he's got a blast pistol with the pistol keyword, 1 shot at 2-up, strength 8, AP 3, damage D3. Pretty solid, not really going to matter much. It's got a splinter pistol. It's 12 inches, 1 shot, 2-up, strength 2, 0, and 1 damage. It's got assault pistol.
2.
It's got anti-infantry 3-up, though. But like I said, his guns are going to be hugely relevant. Now, his melee weapon, on the other hand, they've all got a husk blade. It's 5 attacks at 2-up, strength 3, AP 2, damage 2, and it's anti-infantry 3-up. So, okay, legitimate threat to a 5-man block of Space Marines, and that's just him. So, not not something to fuck around with for sure.
No, and
Which, for the
some
record,
really good abilities too.
This was one of the data sheets I was talking about where that enhancement for AP +2. No, I'm sorry. That was on a different keyword. I don't think you could put it on the Archon. I can't remember what keyword that was working with, but you're going to see a lot of these melees with like AP2 and damage 2 or 3, and it's like, dude, if this shit was AP4, you're going to rock somebody. Let me tell you. But obviously, he's got leader, power through pain. His overlord ability, when he's leading a unit, each time that unit makes an attack, reroll wound rolls of 1. And every time they're empowered, reroll all wounds. So you're talking about by putting him in a unit, empowering a unit gives them reroll all hits and all wounds. And for the record, when we were talking the other night and I was remembering Druhkari as rerolling all wounds, I'm 100% certain this is where that was coming from. I think that guy was playing absolutely legit. He was a really cool guy. I think this is what I was thinking of because I know he was rerolling wounds and he had as many Archons as he could take.
For sure.
Devious Mastermind. Once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, if this model is your warlord and is on the table, it's a Vex. Increase the command point cost of that stratagem by 1 CP. So, automatic warlord here because fucking A. All right, cool. He can lead the Court of the Archon, Incubi, or Kabbalite warriors, which we've seen are pretty central to a lot of Druhkari, basically. And
you
he's
will
only
100% take him with Incubi every time.
right.
Incubi and only Incubi.
Is that the ones with the other damage 2 melee? And it's like
Correct.
AP1.
Correct.
Fucking phenomenal. He's infantry, Cabal, character, Eldari, Archon, faction keywords, Druhkari. 75 points for this guy, y'all. 75 points, 2 up inform. On Va, eat your heart out. Golly. Nid's Psychophage can do precision devastating wounds on a 4-up against Psyker's Law. One small problem, buddy, old boy. There ain't no Psyker keyword on this guy. Get the fuck out of here.
What's a Psychophage?
It's some kind of Legends Tyranids model.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
I know, so was I. Oh, although I do like the idea of charging a Psychophage just trying to get this Archon out of there. It's like, I'm going to charge this, what is a Psychophage, like 180 points or something? I'm going to charge this guy to try and kill this 70-point later.
It's only like 100.
Oh, is it really? Okay. So I'm going to let you jump onto this next one, and we'll just kind of oscillate back and forth and talk about what we think as we're going along.
Yeah, so I honestly don't know what I'm looking at. A Beastmaster? I've never seen one of these on the table. And I've played a good bit against Druhkari.
You know that this is a Legends model because I ain't never seen this shit on the table.
I'm pretty sure it may be Forge World or something.
It's got to be a... well, it's definitely a fine cast because sometimes you can tell from these pictures that fucking art right there is a fine cast resin model. It looks like shit.
What I'm looking at doesn't even have a picture, so...
Welcome to the stream, everybody, by the way. We're just talking about Druhkari for all of you that have just jumped in. We're just going over the new detachment and everything. And, yeah, I figured I would cut in there because we're at like 8 viewers right now. So for everybody that doesn't know what's going on, that's what we're doing.
So, the Beastmaster. So, looks like it has a couple of different options. Honest to God, like I said, I have no clue what I'm looking at. It shows me the Beastmaster, the Clawed Fiend, the Chimera, and the Razor Wing Flock.
People probably don't use this because it's a headache. So this unit, its composition is 1 Beastmaster, 1 Clawed Fiends, 2 Chimera, and 3 Razor Wing Flocks for 105 points. That is what you have to field this unit.
Yeah, it sounds like it's some kind of like Forge World version of the Court, but I don't know. Ranged weapons. It's a pistol, anti-infantry and assault. It's 18 inches. It's 2 shots, at 201. So terrible.
Ew.
Looks like we have one melee profile that is anti-infantry 3+, 3 attacks of 311. Then we have a second one, the Clawed Fiend Fifth. Is 5 attacks at strength, hitting on 4s at strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. Then we have the
whole data sheet.
I'm sorry, what was that?
So that's the best weapon on this whole data sheet.
Yeah, this is really bad. I feel like I'm wasting my time reading it.
Why are you reading this?
Yeah, let's skip him. Again, I've played a decent bit against Druhkari and have never seen one of these on the table.
That's because his ability is worse. You want to know what his ability is?
Not really.
While this unit contains a Beastmaster, reroll charge rolls made for this unit, and the Beastmaster model rerolls a hit roll of 1 in an army with reroll all hits.
That's cute.
This unit is dog shit.
That is cute.
My favorite thing about it is that they gave the splinter pods the assault keyword. So yeah, I'm going to advance to shoot this one weapon and give up all these charge weapons. Fucking goons.
Capital G.
Shit's so Court of the Archon. This is one of the things that the Archon can obviously lead if you couldn't figure that out. It's an 8-inch movement, toughness 3, 5-up save, 2 wounds, 6-up leadership, and OC 1 with a 5-up invulnerable save. Their ranged weapons are the Eye Burst is a 12-inch D6 pistol torrent, strength 6, AP 2, damage 1. So actually a fairly competent. I'm actually really impressed with that flamer.
Yeah.
The Sharp Carbine is 3 attacks at 3-up, strength 2, 0, 1, anti-infantry 3-up, and assault. So, and then the Splinter Pistol is the same thing with a 12-inch range. So if you're talking about the pistol keyword, it's going to be the Eye Burst every time. I'm not even going to lie to you. Everything else can get the hell out of my face.
This is another unit that is like 4 different models. So I imagine each different model can be equipped with a different one.
Yeah. So your close combat weapons are pretty standard. 2 attacks at 3-up, 301. The Shayameshi Blade is a 4 attacks, 3-up, strength 4, AP 2, damage 1 with anti-infantry 2-up. So actually pretty competent. And then stepping up from there, you've got the Slith Battle Blade, and I guess you pronounce it that way. It's got 2 S's. It's 3 attacks at 3-up, 5 AP 2, damage 2. So, all right. And then the Urgle Talons, 6 attacks, 3-up, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1, sustain hits 1. So that one's a little more relevant.
Sustain hits?
It's got sustain
hits.
So, while this model contains 1 or more Lamayan models, weapons equipped by models in this unit have lethal hits. And then the Medusa ability, in your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, if any of those attacks with the Eye Burst score a hit, that infantry unit must take a battle shock test, which the Eye Burst is a flamer. So how do you not score a hit with a flamer? Cool. Battle shock.
If you weren't in range to shoot it, would be the only criteria.
Then the Slith ability, when this unit contains 1 or more Slith models, so each time an attack targets this unit, -1 to wound. And the Urgle ability means if there's an Urgle in the unit, this unit has fights first. So pretty sweet. Court of the Archon, in the declare battle formation step, this unit can join 1 Cabalite Warriors unit from your army that is being led by an Archon. A Cabalite Warriors unit cannot have more than 1 Court of the Archon unit joined to it. If it does, until the end of the battle, every model in this unit counts as part of the Cabalite Warriors unit, and its starting strength is increased accordingly. The composition for this is you get 1 Lamayan, 1 Medusa, 1 Slith, and 1 Urgle for 85 points. And oh my god, that is a lot of buffs to throw on a unit of Cabalite Warriors.
Yeah, I've seen the most common way I've seen this ran is with a 10-man Cabalite Warrior.
Well, I mean, yeah, no shit, because you just gave 15 models lethal hits, auto battle shocks. Now they're -1 to wound, and the entire unit has fights first. What?
Yeah. And the unit has a 5-up invuln. I don't know if you said that.
So does that 5-up invuln carry over to the Cabalite Warriors?
Let me check.
It says that now they're the same unit, so
Well, so this unit is not a character unit, so I believe you will be able to allocate attacks on these guys, and as opposed to the Cabalite Warriors, so therefore giving them a 5-up invuln.
So the models with the 4-up invuln can choose to take it. Okay, I got you.
Correct. Yeah.
So pretty solid unit for 85 points, honestly.
Yeah, they're pretty much an auto take to my
I
understanding.
don't forget that since you're putting them into a unit of Cabalite Warriors, they have access to sustain hits too, in addition to all those other buffs.
Yep. Makes them pretty solid. Next, we have the Kronos.
Now, these guys, I've fought these guys, and these guys are pretty nasty.
Yeah, they're pretty meta, to my knowledge. I think they're a little less with this new detachment, but still pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
They move 7 inches. They're toughness 7. They have a 3+ save with a 6+ invuln and a 5+ feel no pain. 7 wounds, leadership 6, OC 2. So pretty solid defensive stat line. Ranged weapons. They have the Spirit Siphon. It ignores cover and is torrent. 12-inch range, D6 attacks, strength 5, -1 AP, 1 damage. Then they have the Spirit Vortex, which is blast and ignores cover. It is an 18-inch range, D6 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. So solid shooting. And then their melee profile is the Spirit Leech Tentacles. 4 attack, hitting on 4, strength 5, no AP, 1 damage.
And for the record, every Kronos model can and will have all 3 of those weapons.
Yeah. Abilities, like I said, they have a 5+ feel no pain. Then they have the Pain Parasite aura. So each time a pain token is removed from your pain token pool to empower a unit that is, if that empowered unit is within 9 inches of this unit, roll 1d6 on a 4+, you gain 1 pain token. So like pain token,
That's one of the
generators.
that this is a meta right now, is because my understanding is that would stack. So if you can get a couple of these guys following around some of your biggest units, your pain token economy is phenomenal.
Yeah, because it doesn't specify 1 unit from your army with this ability, so I would be inclined to agree that it does stack.
Right. You just have 1 unit in the whole game, and then the whole rest of your list is just Kronos units, and then you roll 20d6 every time you spend the token.
You can take these in a 1 or 2-man unit, and like Tony said, they can be all equipped with all those weapons we talked about.
So anyway, pretty solid. Pretty solid for the points. So anyway, moving on to Drazar, one of the epic heroes named characters for Druhkari. He's got a 7-inch movement, toughness 3. He's got a 2-up armor, 5 wounds, 6-up leadership, OC 1, and a 4-up invuln.
I got bullied by this man so many times a night.
This is just another one of those units where I'm like, so many of these buffs that we've read in both detachments would be really great. So he has the Executioner's Democlaves. He can choose to take it as a single blade attack or the dual blade attack. If he takes it as a single blade attack, it's 5 attacks at 2 up, strength 6, AP 2, damage 3 with devastating wounds. If he takes it as a dual blade, he gets 7 attacks, strength 5, AP 2, damage 2, and twin linked. So, whew, he's I wouldn't let him stand in front of me, that's for sure. He has the Master of Blades ability. While this model is leading a unit, each time that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound rolls. So,
this helps Incubi a lot also.
And then he has the Vicious Execution ability. Once per battle, when this model's unit is selected to fight, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by this model have the Precision ability, and each time an enemy character model is destroyed, gain D3 pain tokens. If that character model was the enemy's warlord, gain 3 pain tokens instead. Golly! Whew. I'm sweating. But of course leads Incubi. And he is also, like the Archon, 75 points. And for 75 points, fucking A. He's got the infantry, epic hero, Eldari, Drazar, and Druhkari keywords. This man is wild. I'm trying to tell you. That'll go with one of your units of Incubi. That way you have 1 Archon left to follow that fat ass unit of Cabalite warriors.
So next we have the Grotesque.
This is one unit that has bullied me before because these guys are just such an easy model to just fucking stand somewhere and be annoying.
Yeah. Agreed. So they are 7-inch movement, toughness 5 with a 6+ save, 4 wounds each, 6 up leadership, and OC 1. They have the ranged weapons. They have the liquefier gun. It is Torrent. It is 12-inch range, D6 shots at strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. Melee weapons. They have the monstrous weapons. So these are 4 attacks at weapon skill 3, strength 5, AP -1, 2 damage. Then we get to the thickness part in their abilities. So they have the 6-up save, but they also have a 6-up invuln. They also have a 5+ feel no pain. So that makes them, with 4 wounds apiece, a 5-up feel no pain, and an invuln does make them a little more difficult to remove. Their ability, Mindless Killing Machines. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought this phase, roll 1d6. On a 4+, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model unit has finished making its attacks, and then be removed from play. That is a really good ability.
They're so good on the charge, man. Their monstrous weapons are one of. It's just there are so many weapons where I was like, man, you get some access to AP or like ignores cover on this stuff, and they are like monstrous to deal with, which is where I think that, like, can you imagine? Fucking golly, they're so good, man. They're so good. I love and you can take 6 of these guys for 180 points or 3 for 90. So for less than 200 points, you're getting like 24 wounds with 6 up, 5 up, and that's 6 flamers at AP 1, damage 1. 6, 12. It's 24 attacks. No, I'm sorry. 36 attacks at 3 up, 5, 1, 2. And it's just like, what a monstrous unit. Fucking Chads.
Yeah, this is a fantastic. This gets me excited, like, thinking about playing this as a melee army. This is a fantastic unit to just charge onto an objective, kill a skirmish unit, and then stand there and, oh, if you countercharge me, 4 up, I can fight on death and potentially wipe this unit also.
It's just Grotesques for the points cost are just such an easy unit to just stick somewhere and not worry about again because they're not getting wiped in 1 activation. I'm sorry. They're just not. Not if you're running 6.
Yeah, especially against other things of roughly the same points value. They're definitely not wipeable.
So it's like, if you throw like a 6-man block of custodian wardens or whatever led by Trajan, maybe you can melee them off the table in one activation, but is that really what
Sword Brethren? Yeah, that's not what they want to be hitting though.
if they've done their job if that's what you killed.
And they have the infantry keyword, which is pretty nice for 4-winged models to just be able to Kool-Aid Man through a wall and bop something in the head.
Not that these weren't monsters, I was like, oh my lord. So anyway, moving on to the homunculus. He's a 7-inch movement, a toughness 4, 6 up save, 5 wounds, 6 up leadership, OC1, and a 6 up invuln. His ranged weapons, he's got a slightly better Stinger pistol, 12-inch, 1 shot, 2 up at 2-1D3, anti-infantry 2 up, precision pistol. This weapon is irrelevant like all the other Stinger weapons. It's just not relevant. Now, his melee weapons are a little more relevant. 5 attacks at 2 up, strength 3, AP 1, damage D3 with anti-infantry 2 up and precision. This bad boy is going to take the Marine leader out of your unit.
That's a really good profile.
He has a 5 up feel no pain. He's a leader. He's got a 6 up invul if I didn't mention it. When he's leading a unit, models in that unit have a 4 up feel no pain. And then he's got the Fear Incarnate aura. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a battle shock test or a leadership test is taken for that enemy unit, subtract 1 for the test. So that's interesting because talking about the once per game homunculus ability from that enhancement, if you use it at 12 inches, it would be -1, but if you use it within 6, it would be -2.
Yeah, very good point.
It can follow racks around, which we haven't gotten to yet. And he's 60 points. 60 points for that. Come on, no brainer here. Then that's where I'm saying it's like I think Druhkari is definitely now at the points level it needs to be at. Golly, 60 points.
This guy for 60 points is pretty solid. If he connects into a unit with a meaningful character in it, like that could be bad for your opponent for sure.
Well, yet again, we just talked a minute ago about how Clay's going to spend 100 points to get a 4 up invuln on a unit of Rupert Marine. So this guy is 60 points and gets 4 up feeling the pain.
I can tell you which one I would rather have.
I'm trying to tell you, it's feel no pain every day for me, just because there's so much more versatile.
Next, we have the Hellions.
Are you wanting me to go over the Hellions? Because I know that you were sitting there pausing because you want to talk about the Incubi. Do you want me to do the Hellions?
Yes, you talk about the Hellions so that I get the Incubi.
So these Green Goblin motherfuckers have a 14-inch movement with toughness 4, 5 up saves. They're 2 wounds each, leadership 6, OC 1, and a 6 up invuln. They have splinter pistols, which I'm not going to read the profile every time anymore because it's just annoying as fuck. And they have splinter pods as well, which is just 2 shots with a splinter pistol. Nobody cares. But they're twin-linked if you shoot the splinter pods.
Yay!
Their melee weapons, they have Hellglaives. It's 3 attacks at 3 up, strength 4, AP 1, damage 2, sustain hits 1. And then the Heliarch weapon is 5 attacks, 3 up, 3-1-1, anti-infantry 3 up, sustain hits 1. So not the craziest thing you've ever seen, but it's not terrible. They have the hit and run ability. This unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back, which is okay. This Bears unit has the grenades keyword.
Funny.
They can be equipped with 1 Phantasm grenade launchers, which is what gives them the keyword. I don't know why you wouldn't take that. The Hellglaive on the Heliarchs can be replaced with 1 splinter pistol and 1 Heliarch weapon. You have 1 Heliarch and 4 to 9 Hellions. It is 85 points for 5 models and 170 points for 10 models. So, they're not terrible. I haven't seen them ever. I think that's why for 170 points. Cody, come on. Give me the grotesque.
So hear me out. Hear me out. 85 points for a 14-inch move with assault. That's pretty good at early game doing objectives, doing actions.
You're completely fair. I guess in my head I was thinking I would never take a 10-man block of this for any reason.
No reason at all you would ever take a 10-man. But a 5-man, maybe 2 5-man to just, I drew turn 1 investigate signals, go grab it, or turn 1 deploy teleport homers.
Well, even beyond that, if they get locked into engagement with something that doesn't remove them from the table, they can fall back into an action with a 14-inch movement and the infantry keyword. So pretty solid as a monkey unit. I'm sorry, they do not have the infantry keyword. They have the mounted keyword. So,
little less. Not going through walls, but
little less good. All right, I'm going to let you go over the incubi now because I know you've been dying to talk about them.
So the incubi, they move 7 inches. They are toughness 3 with a 3-up save, 5-up invuln. The leader of the unit is 2 wounds, but they are traditionally 1 wound with a 6-up leadership and OC 1. So the demi-claves, you can take it as a single blade attack or dual blade attack. The single blade attack is 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, -2, 2 damage. The dual blade is 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. The leader can be equipped with a clave. It is 3 attacks at hitting on 3s, strength 4, -2, 2 damage. Sure.
What you did, like with the character, if you choose to take the dual blades attack, they're twin linked.
Yeah. Yes. The dual blades is twin linked. They have the ability Tormentors. At the start of the fight phase, each enemy unit within engagement range of 1 or more units with this ability must take a battle shock test. So, out of phase battle shock, we all have our opinion. Sure. They can be taken in a 1 to 5 man or a 10 man. So these guys, you look at the profile and it's 3 attacks each. So that's 30 attacks for a 10 man at strength 4, AP -2, 2 damage. And you're like, these guys aren't doing much. But you pair that with Drazzer, all of a sudden they're +1 to wound. Or you pair them with an Archon, and they're all of a sudden 4 rerolls to wound. Oh, and they, get Lance if they're with the Archon because they came out of a transport. Like, these guys can mess you up. Now, they did, in 9th edition, they were strength 5, so they lost a little there. But still, this is a unit that you look at on paper, and you're like, fine, sure. And then they hit you with 30 attacks like this, and they absolutely demolish a unit, and you are sitting there like, what the hell just happened?
Well, just for the record, anything that is 30 attacks at damage 2 looks bad on paper, but if you have played this game at any level and you've been hit with 30 attacks at damage 2, you find out just how little the other 2 statistics really matter.
Yeah, especially when you have ways to manipulate that strength 4, like they do with the 4 rerolls to wound, Lance, whatnot. Like, these guys, they hit. I would put 30 of these in. I'm not going to say 30. I would put 25 of these in every list. 20 to 25.
That's what the other guy was doing, because I saw that he had specifically 25.
Yes, yeah. How expensive are they?
Anyway.
How expensive are they, Tony?
They're 75 points for 5, 150 points for 10.
I personally would run 30. I'll say that.
I would run 1 unit of Cabalite Warriors. For 110 points, you'll get 10 models. Infantry, Cabalite Battle Line, Eldari, Cabalite Warriors, Druhkari keywords. They're an 8-inch movement, toughness 3, 4-up save, 1 wound, 6-up leadership, OC 2 each with a 6-up invuln. This is the unit that you can stick the Court of the Archon, and that one Archon you don't have enough incubi for.
Correct.
And just become just this monstrous unit of layered buffs where it's like you're going to shoot this one 16 block unit at an opponent, and they're going to be like, I'm going to have to take your word for all those buffs you just said you had. They've got, I'm just going to read off the ranged weapon profiles. Obviously, their war gear options are they can take special weapons like other 10-man. It's just another basic infantry unit with specialty weapons. The blast pistol is 1 shot, ballistic skill 3 up, 8-3 D3. The blaster is 18-inch assault, 1 shot at 3 up, 8-4 D6 plus 1. The Dark Lance is heavy, 1 attack at 4 up, 12-3 D6 plus 2. The Shredder is 18-inch assault, D6 flamer with strength 6, AP 0, damage 1. The Splinter Cannon is the only splinter gun that I think is actually relevant because it's a 36-inch range, 3 attacks at 4 up, strength 3, AP 1, damage 2, with anti-infantry 3 up, sustain hits, and the heavy keyword. Splinter Pistol I'm not reading, Splinter Rifle I'm not reading, blah, blah, blah. Close
I want
combat
to stop you before you go to melee. The
it.
fact that the Dark Lance is D6 plus 2 is kind of mind-boggling, considering every other gun in the game with that kind of stat line is D6 plus 1. So, really good.
It's also impressive that you've got a 110-point infantry unit with a strength 12 gun in it. What the hell?
Yeah, they're literally toting a fucking cannon around.
Literally, one of their homeboys is literally just got this strapped to him and he's crawling on all fours. The guy behind him is pulling the trigger, actually. In fact, I'm going to model mine. So they've got access to close combat weapons, obviously, but then they're Cyberite? I don't even know how to... Cyberite? I don't care. Their melee weapons. Their swords are 3 attacks at 3 up, strength 3, AP 1, damage 1, and anti-infantry 3 up. So nothing in melee that's really out of the ordinary for a unit this size, but they have the ability Sadistic Raiders. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, and this unit or any transport this unit is embarked within is within range of your objective marker, the objective or marker remains under your control, even if you have no models within range of it. And this is why I would take one. I will fly that fucking ship over every single one of these on the board.
Yeah, that's honest to God, I didn't know they had that ability. That's a really good ability.
It's like just by them being in the boat now lands sticky.
Yes, that's the fact that it applies to the boat is fantastic. And another great thing about this unit is, we'll see in a moment, all of the transports that go in are open top.
Right. And then you combine that with the fact that, so basically, in my head, it's, I'm going to fly this boat into the objective at the center of the table. These 10 Cavalite warriors with 5 Court of the Archon models and 1 Archon are going to get out of the boat and then charge you so that this objective just stays sticky while you're tied up with these fucking goons with Feel No Pains and all this other crazy shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you fall asleep?
No, I thought you were about to read the back side of the card.
The back side of the card? I'm confused.
The 10 models and whatnot.
Oh, I'd said that at the beginning that you can take 10 models for 100.
Okay. Cool. So we will go to the next one. Lilith Hesperax.
She got,
Do what?
She's got that crazy psycho bitch energy.
She really does.
Break your dick.
Anyways, so she moves 8 inches. She's toughness 3 with a 6 up save, 4 up invuln, 4 wounds, leadership 6, OC 1. Her melee, she does not have a ranged weapon. Her melee weapons, Lilith's Blades. 8 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 3, -2 AP, 1 damage, anti-infantry 2+, with sustained hits 2.
Okay.
Solid profile. If that was damage 2, I would be like, she's also an auto take. But damage 1 is a little lackluster.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that.
One thing that she does have that gets me excited is that she has the fights first ability.
Thank God for that damage 1. Fights first.
I'm telling you, if she was damage 2, she would be absolute auto take.
Want her to die before she throws out those damage 1 attacks.
Her abilities. So she, like I said, has fights first. Brides of Death. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the fights first ability. So really good. And each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the strength characteristic of that attack and improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So that is a damn good ability.
We balling.
So +1 strength and +1 AP and fights first.
Gotta love a leader in it better than the leader is.
If she could go with Incubi, good lord. But her other ability, Thrilling Spectacle. Once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. When it does, until the end of phase, the attack's characteristic of Lilith's Blade increased to 12, and the model's invulnerable save is increased to 3+.
Whoa!
That's a pretty good, like, just YOLO go in, fights first, whack the hell out of something, and then when, you get countercharged inevitably, you pop that ability. And then she has fights first with 12 attacks. Maybe she doesn't kill the second unit, but then she's got a 3-up invuln. So she's fine.
Unit's not just going to ignore that 3-up invuln. They're going to get tied up with it and be like, what the hell am I attacking here?
Yeah, and it specifically is not a non-rerollable 3-up invuln. So you could really stretch that bad boy out. She can lead Linda. Do I?
It's going to be a difficult phase for the opponent. They're not going to be having a good time.
No, they certainly are not. How many points is she?
She is 85 points. So pretty standard for these characters that we're seeing for Druhkari.
Yeah, I think that's solid. She can only attach to witches, so we'll get to them. But I've never seen them competitively so far in 10th. So obviously they're probably not a great unit to go with. But
He's not the most impressive character for 85 points. I think Drakon was like 80, Archons are 75. So I'm a little skeptical.
Drazzer was also 75, which, he's just better.
I mean, yeah. So it's like I'm not going out of my way to get her. When
I'm telling you, if she was damage 2, she would be stupid.
Anyway, can somebody look up Rule 34 on this, though? Because I would put her in my list for that. Why are you laughing?
Anyways.
Let me make sure my wife's not watching this stream. No, I'm just kidding.
JK, LOL, he's not married.
She just breaks into the room and she's like, "What did you say? What did I tell you, boy?"
So you got the mandrakes?
I was just going to let you continue for a minute. I'm trying to put these lights on my Tetris.
All right, so now we have mandrakes. These move 8 inches. They are toughness 3 with a 7-up save, 5-up invuln, 1 wound apiece, 6-up leadership, OC 1. Their ranged weapon is the Bell Blast. It is assault and devastating wounds at 18 inches range, 2 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, 0 AP, damage 1. Their melee weapon, they are 3 attacks each at weapon skill 3, strength 5, 0 AP, 1 damage. Their abilities, they have the infiltrator ability and the stealth ability. So 2 solid abilities on a otherwise lackluster unit so far. Their other ability is the fadeaway ability. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can remove this unit from the battlefield. In the reinforcement step of your next movement phase, set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from enemy models. If the battle ends and this unit is not on the battlefield, it is destroyed. How many points are these guys, Tony?
Well, let's see here. They are unit composition 65 points for 5, 130 points for 10.
So these seem like fantastic secondary scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. And they kind of just made the other guys a little irrelevant because they're cheaper.
So 100%. 65 points for infiltrate, stealth, and a redeploy every turn. Yeah, that I pay that for scouts. I'd pay it for them. And they have assault.
For those of you that don't know, Willis, my man, loves a good old redeploy. You can actually hear his boner growing on stream.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for movement. Out of phase movement in particular, as we've discussed.
He's just like, my man doesn't like to play on his 40K.
Hey, man, I just like the opportunity to outsmart my opponent.
Outsmart my opponent. You fool! You should have known that these were never going to stay here.
You've activated my trap card.
So anyway, going on to the Raider, this is going to be really the Horcrux of this entire army, the backbone of this army with the new detachment. It's a 14-inch movement, toughness 8, 4-up save, 10 wounds, 6-up leadership, OC2, and a 6-up invuln. They've got Dark Lances, 1 attack each, 3-up ballistic skill, strength 12, AP 3, damage D6 plus 2. And a Disintegrator cannon, he has 3 attacks at 3-up, AP 5, strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. The melee weapons are just Blade Veins. It's 3 attacks at 4-up, 6-0-1, so not really relevant. But they've got Deep Strike and Firing Deck 11.
So when you look at that Dark Lance and you see that the tank only has 1, you might as well count it for 2 with the Cavalite Warriors in it.
Right, because you know that shit's getting shot.
Yeah.
And it's got Deep Strike. I didn't even realize it had Deep Strike. Oh my god.
It's pretty good.
Each time this model advances, do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, add 6 inches to the movement characteristic, which you're not really going to probably want to do in this detachment, but it's nice that it's there. For a turn 1, just whoosh.
Yeah, or even like later in the game, I need to I'm trying to do a gambit, or I drew investigate signals turn 4. So this bad boy is fast.
Here's where it gets rough. Because the transport capacity is 11 models, which means you cannot take a Court of the Archon if you were playing it with this detachment. Because you're going to want to spam these, and it kind of makes the Court of the Archon way less valuable. Each grotesque model takes up the space of 3 models, and this model cannot take models with the fly keyword. So for the record, grotesques getting out of this thing fucking excites me.
Don't disagree.
Just the idea of grotesques with +1 to wound. And I think, did we not say that there was... I'm trying to think where we were looking at reroll all wounds, but I don't think it's for grotesque, but still.
No, that was the Archon.
Golly, though. Grotesque getting out of this thing with Lance. Ugh. And they're only 80 points.
And it moves 14 inches, that strat, to get out and then charge. So grotesque moving 17 inches and charging. That's grotesque.
It is grotesque. I'm glad you agree. Now, there is a second variant of this ship called the Ravager. The profiles are basically the same, but it's going to go up to 11 wounds and toughness 9 instead of 8, OC 3 instead of 2, still has a 6-up invuln. The ranged weapons will stay the same. The melee weapons will stay the same. It still has Deep Strike, but now it's got the Eradicate the Foe ability. Each time this model makes an attack that targets a unit that's at its starting strength, reroll a hit roll of 1. If the unit has a starting strength of 1, this ability only applies if the target has the starting number of wounds. So this ability is rerolling hit rolls of 1 in an army with access to reroll all hits. Will never seem good to me. Obviously, there are instances where this will matter, but the other thing is it doesn't appear to have any transport capacity, so I would not
Oh, but
use
it's equipped with 3 Dark Lances.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I put 3 of them in my. I think this is the one that people were mainly using before this detachment came out, because it's
100%.
for 3 Dark Lances that reroll hit rolls of 1. They fucking slap.
Yeah, 100% agree. Next, we have the Razor Wing Jet Fighter. So this is a aircraft. So it has the aircraft rules: 20 plus inch movement, toughness 8, 4 plus save with a 6 plus in 10 wounds, leadership 6, 0 OC. It can be equipped with a wide assortment of weapons. One of them being the Dark Lance, Disintegrator, which is 36-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s at 5.22. The Razor Wing missiles. So it has 3 different profiles. The blast profile is 40. All of these are 48-inch range. The blast profile is blast D6 shots, hitting on 3s at strength 6 minus 1 AP, 2 damage. Then you have the neurotoxin version of it. It is D6 plus 3 shots blast at anti-infantry 2 plus, hitting on 3s, strength 2, 0, 1. And then the Shatterfield missile version, which is D6 shots blast at strength 7 minus 1, 1 damage. I did not realize they were all blast before I said that the first one was the blast profile. Then you can put a twin splinter rifle on it, which we've already established is not good. It just gives twin link to a splinter rifle. Yay. The splinter cannon, which is 3 attacks at sustained hits 1, anti-infantry 3 plus, hitting on 3s, strength 3 minus 1, 2 damage. Its melee weapons are the bladed wings. Sounds cooler than it is. 3 attacks at strength 6, 0 AP, 1 damage. This thing does have stealth, and it has ground attack craft. Each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit, excluding units that can fly, add 1 to the hit roll. That's a pretty solid ability.
Yeah, they're definitely not bad. Obviously, when I've gone into them in the past, they don't really do anything because like all my shit has the flying keyword.
Yeah. I feel like this would be like, pretty good into some armies because it does have 2 Dark Lances on it. So 2 Dark Lances hitting on 2s, solid.
I think this unit is if you aren't running the detachment with the ships.
Yeah. How many points is it?
It's 170.
Yeah. How many points was the Ravager?
115. But
I'd rather just take a Ravager.
So, not that I disagree, but just remember that this one can ignore all terrain.
Sure. But I think I would rather save 80 points, 70 points, and get an extra Dark Lance.
Okay, I just he's got a lot of guns.
You got the next one, or you want me?
I'll do it. So Reavers, they're basically, if you've ever played Wipeout HD, that's what these are. 16
Are
inch move.
these Druhkari Outriders?
Hold on. Post to me. Get it on screen. It's going to be 16-inch movement with toughness 4. I've just lost my page. 4 up save, 2 wounds, 6 up leadership, and OC 2 with a 6 up invuln. Their blasters are assault, 1 attack at 3 up, strength 8, AP 4, D6 plus 1 damage, 18-inch range. So fucking. I know you're truthing. What?
What? I was not expecting that from these guys.
And then their Heat Lance profile, 18-inch range, 1 attack at 3 up, strength 14, AP 4, damage D6, assault, and Melta 3. So
Melta 3.
These motherfuckers will pop off, let me tell you.
Good lord.
And then they've got splinter pistols, which I don't even understand. Why does everything have to have the damn splinter guns? Nobody gives a shit. I'm not going to fire these in an actual game because you're just wasting the opponent's time. It's melee weapons. They have agonizers, which are 4 attacks each at 3 up, strength 3, AP 1, damage 1, anti-infantry 3 up. And then blade veins are 3 attacks at 3 up, 4, 0, 1. Their abilities, eviscerating flyby. Each time this unit ends a normal move, you can select 1 enemy unit, excluding monster and vehicle units, that it moved over during that move. If you do, roll 1d6 for each model in this unit on 4 ups or mortal wounds. So, not bad.
No, just some little cheeky mortals.
Oh my god. Holy shit. So their war gear option. Let's start with their unit composition. So it's 60 points for 3, 120 points for 6. Each model is equipped with a splinter pistol, splinter rifle, and blade veins. So the arena champion can be equipped with an agonizer. For every 3 models in the unit, 1 model splinter rifle can be replaced with either the blaster or the heat lance, which are the big guns. So if you take 6 and 2, everything has assault. For every 3 models in the unit, 1 model can either be equipped with a Grav Talon or cluster caltrops. So the Grav Talon gives the bearers melee weapons Lance. I don't really care for that because that's 1 unit, 1 model out of 3 gets Lance, whatever. But the cluster caltrops are each time you roll to inflict wounds using the eviscerating flyby ability, you can re-roll 1d6 for each model in this unit equipped with cluster caltrops. So, okay, that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But I think they're a solid unit. I could definitely see 2 units of 3 going in a list that I was running, just like you said, throwing a fucking strength 14 gun on a 60-point unit is just crazy to me.
Especially a 60-point unit that moves 16 inches with assault.
With fucking assault. And mortal wounds from the caltrops. This unit is crazy. I love it.
The Hellions.
I love it. Hellions have gone to legends that quick.
Next, we have the Scourges. Appears to be another fast unit. They move 14 inches. They're toughness 3 with a 4+ save, 5+ invuln.
I hate these guys. Read it to me, but I don't want to hear it.
1 wound each with 6 up leadership OC1. They can be equipped with a variety of weapons. The only ones that really matter are they can take a blaster and a dark lance or a heat lance. The heat lance, I don't know if we just talked about that on the last. Yeah, assault heavy Melta 3.
Golly.
They're melee weapons. So the solitaire weapon, anti-infantry 3+, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 3, -1, 1 damage. Then they have close combat weapons. Abilities, they do have the deep strike ability. They also have the wing strike ability.
Ugh.
It is in your shooting phase. After this unit has shot, if it is not within engagement range of any enemy unit, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. If it does until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to declare a charge. So they got the gargoyle rule.
Right, and the fucking Dark Lance has a 36-inch range. Of course they're going to have one. And they've got the infantry keyword. This is an annoying unit to take off the table. And they are going to be irritating. Now, I understand that maybe not so good with what, maybe not worth the points in this new detachment, but I've played against them a couple times, and it's just these guys. Ugh.
How many points are they?
It's 110 for 5, 220 for 10. So when you're talking about this detachment of spamming boats, you probably don't have the points to work these into your list.
No, I think I would rather just pay 60 points for the bikes.
But they also have the grenade keyword.
Cute.
Just in case you... Dude, some of the shit on some of these units is like, what? What do you mean? But yeah, I'm definitely a 60 point for the bikes kind of guy. The bikes are turning me on.
Gross.
So the succubus, it's 8-inch movement, toughness 3, 6 up save, 4 wounds, 6 up leadership, OC 1, and a 4 up invul. They have blast pistols, 6 inches, 1 attack, 2 up, strength 8, AP 3, damage D3. And then splinter pistols, I'm not reading. It's got succubus weapons. It's a 6 attack melee with 2 up, strength 3, AP 2, damage 1, anti-infantry 3 up. So not bad. Storm of Blades. While this model is leading a unit, models equipped melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have sustain hits 1, which is fucking awesome for Druhkari. If this model is empowered in the fight phase, then until the end of the phase, models in this model's unit have the fight's first ability. It's called Combat Drugs.
Pretty solid.
I love it. And she leads Witches. She is 45 points. Golly.
I feel like if you're taking witches, you probably just throw one of these in it.
Absolutely, without a doubt, with the infantry keyword as well. Talos was the one I was thinking of when I was like, these things are just fucking crazy. Because Talos are the ones that I've gone up against personally. I was confusing them with the other one because they're the same kit.
Yeah. So Talos. 7-inch movement, toughness 7, 3 up save, 6 up invuln, 5 up feel no pain, 7 wounds each, with leadership 6 and OC 2. So pretty beefy stat line. Their ranged weapon, twin Druhkari Haywire Blaster. So this is 2 attacks hitting on 4s at strength 3 -1, 3 damage. It is anti-vehicle 4+, dev wounds, and twin linked.
It's fucking...
That's heinous against Tal.
No, that's a crisis killer.
Yeah, literally. Then it can have the twin heat lance. This one is 1 attack hitting on a 4, strength 14 -4, D6 damage with assault Melta 3 and twin linked. Why is everything in Druhkari Melta 3?
I don't know.
Then they can also take the twin splinter cannon. So it is 3 attacks hitting on 4s, 3 strength, -1 AP, 2 damage, anti-infantry 2+, sustained hits 1, twin link. They also can take a stinger pod, 24 inches, 2d6 shots, hitting on 4, strength 5, 0 AP, 1 damage, and a twin liquefier gun. This one is torrent and twin linked, d6 attacks at 4-1-1. So pretty good shooting profiles. Melee, they have the chain flails. So this is 8 attacks hitting on 3s at strength 6, 0 AP, 1 damage. Then they can have the macro scalpel. 5 attacks at hitting on 3s, strength 7, -1 AP, 2 damage. Then a Talos Gauntlet, 5 attacks hitting on 4s, strength 8, -2 AP, 3 damage. And then a Talos Ichor Injector. This is an extra attack.
Go ahead.
Sorry. It is 1 attack at hitting on a 3, strength 7, -1, 2 damage. Those are some pretty good profiles.
Wait till you read this guy's ability, dude.
So, like we said, he has the Film Plane 5+, he has Deadly Demise 1, and the Pain Engine ability. If this unit destroys an enemy unit until the end of phase, until the end of battle, it is empowered. Wow.
End of the battle. So,
Yeah, that's
for the
pretty
record,
good.
they're going to start with 2 macro scalpels and a twin splinter cannon. So, with the way you'd set up this war gear, each macro scalpel can be replaced with a Talos Gauntlet or the Chain Flails, and the other one can be replaced with the Ichor Injector and the Liquefier Gun. So, for me, it's Talos Gauntlet, Liquefier Gun, and then you replace this gun with the Haywire Blasters, because if you're talking about running the boat detachment, you've got enough Heat Lances. You don't need another Strength 14 gun. Put the Haywire Blasters for the anti-vehicle Devastating Wound Twin Link. That's pretty much how I'd be loading them out.
I couldn't agree more.
And so it's 80 for 1, 160 points for 2, and you just fly a bunch of these units around. And hell, that means that if you do manage to destroy an enemy unit with them, now they're re-rolling all hits and all wounds.
Yeah, that Talos Gauntlet is a very nice profile too.
No, the Talos
5
fucking monstrous.
Whew. Yeah, that's a good data sheet.
You're talking about a unit making 10 attacks at 4 up, strength 8, AP 2, damage 3, and it can empower itself for reroll all hits. Golly.
Yeah, you basically empower it once, it kills what you went into, and then it's empowered for the rest of the game.
God, it's such a good unit. Talos are so good. So, Urian Rakarth. That's fucking weird. What the hell is this guy? He's got like a crab with like walk like an Egyptian hands coming out the back of his throat, and he's sipping off a football hat straw.
He looks like a Druhkari, like possessed a lictor.
He looks like a lictor had sex with Buddha, and then the child like this Druhkari guy. I don't know what I'm looking at. Anyway, he's got a 7-inch movement with toughness 4, 6 up save, 5 wounds, leadership 6, OC 1, 4 up invuln. His ranged weapon is the Casket of Flensing. It's 3d6 flamer, strength 3, AP 1, damage 1, with devastating wounds, and it's 12 inches. So, actually really phenomenal, with the only downside being it's a one-shot weapon. So he's got this flamer that's just going to completely slap the balls off of somebody and then disappear for the rest of the game. He also has the Homunculus tools and scissor hands. It's 5 attacks at 2 up, 3, 1, D3, anti-infantry 2 up, and precision. He has a 4+ feel no pain in addition to his 4 up invuln. And he has the Fleshcraft ability. At the end of your movement phase, this model can heal 1 friendly Kronos, Talos, Grotesques, or Rax unit within 6 inches of it. If it does, 1 model within that unit regains up to 3 lost wounds. If you selected a Rax unit, up to 3 destroyed models are returned to that unit instead. Oh my lord! Just flat 3 wounds on a Talos or what, or like a Grotesque with the damn kill.
I feel like this would have been. I'm interested to see the points, but I feel like this would have been really good outside of this current detachment.
The boat one? You think it would have been good in the original? Yeah. I agree completely.
Yes,
He also has horrific regeneration. The first time this model is destroyed, roll a d6 at the end of the phase. On a 2 up, set this model back up on the battlefield as close to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of any enemy units with full wounds remaining. It leads a unit of Rax. He is an epic hero, and he is only 80 points.
What a pain in the ass to deal with. 4 up invuln, 4 up feel no pain, and he stands back up on a 2+.
Yeah, and that's after you kill the 10 Rax that are in front of him that he can also heal.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
If I don't know that you have the... I think you probably in this detachment would rather just have a boat for 80 points, but good lord.
Oh my god. No, I mean, because can't Rax go in the boat and they're a 10-man unit, so he can actually be inside a boat?
Yeah, this is true. This is very true.
Golly. If anybody watching this stream starts running that guy, I just want you to know I hate you. You're not allowed to come to the shop. And your parents never loved you.
So next we have the other backbone of this detachment, the Venom. So this is another transport. It moves 14 inches. It is toughness 6 with a 4+ save, 6 up feel no pain, or 6 up invuln, 6 wounds, leadership 6, OC 1. It can have ranged weapon wise a splinter cannon and a twin splinter rifle. Its melee profile is the Blade Vein. 3 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 5, 0-1. It has the deep strike ability, it has the stealth ability, and it has firing dex 6. So this seems perfect to put a 5-man something in.
And Archon and his court.
Yeah, sure. Then its other ability is the athletic aerialist. At the end of the fight phase, if there are no models currently embarked within this transport, you can select one friendly Druhkari infantry unit that has 6 or fewer models that is wholly within 6 inches of this transport. You cannot select grotesque unit or a unit that can fly. Unless that unit is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can embark within this transport.
So
I.e., they're perfect with army.
This is where I made the mistake when I called out the rules for it in episode 2, was because I've never seen this played. I had never heard of this before. And oh my lord, this is, put as many of these in your list as you possibly can. And
yeah, I think about a 5-man incubi with Drazzer riding around in this, just hopping out, whacking the hell out of something, and then jumping back in.
Well, this alone just, even if you don't start them as like dedicated transports, it's crazy to me that you can like start the guys in the big ship, they get out, they get reduced to half strength, and then they just jump in the small ship because they can.
Yeah. Yes, very true. It has a 6-person carrying capacity. And before the battle, at the start of the declare battle formations, you can select one Cabalette warrior or witch unit from your army. If you do so, that unit is split into 2 units, each containing an equal number of models as possible. One of these units must start the battle embarked within this transport. The other can start the battle embarked within another transport, or it can be deployed as a separate unit. Very good rule.
Mm-hmm.
How many points are those bad boys?
70.
Yeah, money. You 100% take 3 of these in that detachment.
Thank you. Next, we've got the Void Raven Bomber. It's another aircraft with toughness 9, 4 up armor, 12 wounds, 6 up leadership, and a 6 up invuln. So nothing to write home about, but it's got Void Lances. They make 2 shots, 36-inch range, 3 up, strength 14, AP 4, D6 plus 2. I think this might have actually been the one that I went into. Then the Dark Scythe is 6 attacks at 3 up, strength 8, AP 4, damage 2. It's got Void Raven missiles. They can either take the Implosion missile, which is D3 blast, 3 up, strength 9, AP 2, damage 3, or the Shatterfield missiles, which is D6 blast, 3 up, 7, 1, damage 1. I don't know if I would ever shoot the 1 damage.
And if I'm shooting Termagants, but other than that, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Let's get the Void Bind ability. Once per battle after this unit ends a normal move, you can select one enemy unit it moved over and roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within d6 inches of that enemy model. On a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. This is a fantastic ability or it is a shitty ability, and it is one or the other. Every game. You will either fly this guy over an enemy unit that's in the perfect position, roll the d6 for the range, and then just fucking throw 18 mortal wounds on the center of the table. Or you will roll a 1 for the range and hit nothing.
Or you'll play a army with a very small footprint, like knights or custodians, and then it'll do nothing.
Just fucking does nothing. It does have the stealth ability, though. Obviously, it's got power for pain. It can be staggered. And it has 2 Void Lances, so it makes 4 shots at Strength 14, AP 4, Damage D6 plus 2. And it has the aircraft keyword, obviously. It's 215 points, so get him out of here. No, thank you.
It sounds good, like, stat-wise, but yeah, 215 points, no thank you.
I think if it was the same cost as the other one, I would definitely take it. But
yeah, agree.
At 215 points, it kind of falls into that realm of where I was telling you the Barracuda's at. I just don't think that a lot of the low-tier aircraft are worth more than 200 points just to ignore the terrain on the table.
I hear 215 points, and all I think is 3
a
raiders.
Boat, 15 guys.
Yeah, I hear 3 boats. Next, we have the racks. Heard a lot about these guys.
Model, at this picture right now, racks are another model that definitely looks like they need a refresh. I think this picture is in 480p.
So racks move 7 inches. They're toughness 4, 6 up save with a 6 up invuln and a 5+ feel no pain, 1 wound each, 6 up leadership, and OC 2. Their ranged options, they have the Hex Rifle. It is heavy and precision, 1 attack at 36-inch range, ballistic skill 3, strength 6, -2 AP, 3 damage. They then have the Liquefier Gun, which is the Torrent 12-inch, D6 shots, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. They have a Asa Factor. So this one is 24-inch range, 1 attack, hitting on a 3, strength 2, -2 AP, 2 damage, anti-infantry 4+ dev wounds. Would be good if it was more than 1 shot.
Yeah.
Then they have the glorious Stinger pistol. Melee, they have Rack Blades. So these are 2 attacks each, hitting on 3s at strength 3, 0 AP, 1 damage, anti-infantry 4+. That's very lackluster. Abilities, they have the Torturer's Craft. Each time this unit destroys an enemy unit, you gain 1 pain token. When this unit is destroyed, you gain 1 pain token. So these are your suicide bombers.
Right. So it's 60 points for 5, 120 points per 10. I'm just putting 5-mans at 60 points and letting them run up the board and maybe get me a pain token, or just die and give me a pain token. And that's pretty much going to be what it is. They're going to stand somewhere at OC2, and the opponent has to shoot at them, and I'm just going to let them die.
Yeah, that character we talked about earlier that was 45 points, I would debate a 10-man with her, but other than that, yeah.
Right. So last unit we have is Witches. They're an 8-inch, toughness 3, 6 up save, 1 wound, 6 up leadership, OC 2, which what I'm noticing is that, Druhkari actually has pretty good leadership.
Yeah, agreed.
6 up invul. She's got a blast pistol, 6 inches, 1 shot, 3 up, 8, 4, D3, another splinter pistol. It has a Hekatari blade, 3 attacks at 3 up, strength 3, AP 1, damage 1. They have the no escape ability. Each time an enemy unit with an engagement range, excluding monsters and vehicles, falls back within engagement range of 1 or more units from your army with this ability is selected to fall back. Models in that unit must take a desperate escape test as if their unit was battle shocked. When doing so, if that enemy is also battle shocked by other means, subtract 1 from each of those desperate escape tests. So essentially, you can fail a desperate escape test on a 1 and a 2 and lose a model, excluding monsters and vehicles. So that's kind of a whatever ability. You could give them
if you happen to hit them with one of those weird battle shocks, and then all of a sudden they're filling up threes, still kind of meh. But
they can take the grenade keyword. They're 90 points for 10, so it's not the worst unit in the world. It's just kind of like it's the same problem of the profiles not being particularly impressive. Let me see what their war gear composition is. Each model is equipped with a splinter pistol and a Hekatari blade. The leader of the unit can have one blast pistol and then can have the grenade launchers. So, I mean, it's not the worst unit I've ever seen. It's only 90 points.
90 points for 10 models. Whenever you get into the range of less than 10 points per model, that's yeah.
But it's just, for me, it's like I would rather take any of the other infantry units we've talked about than this one.
Fair.
And pay the points premium.
Fair.
So, that is pretty much everything that we can take. So, in the original detachment, I'm talking about running some Talos. I'm probably putting some Scourges in there. It's definitely having Reavers in there. I may run an aircraft, but like you said, it's probably going to be Raiders. And then, just putting the infantry. Well, it may not even be Raiders. I may take some Ravagers. But I think the original detachment is good. It's not terrible. It's just, like I said, you don't really have a detachment rule. You're basically just playing Druhkari verbatim. It doesn't. And that's where Sky Splinter Assault has really changed the game by giving you an actual way to play that buffs your army. So what are you thinking you would run for Sky Splinter Assault?
So I'm not gonna pretend to be some expert and just come up with a fantastic list. So I can go over a list that I sent you earlier that was used by someone else.
It's okay. I will continue to pretend to be the expert.
I will say one thing about Druhkari before I read this list. They have one of the best combat patrols in the game for this current detachment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like their combat patrol, I don't know if you realize, it comes with 2 boats. It comes with a 10-man Cavalite warrior. It comes with a 5-man Incubi and an Archon.
Okay, so I'll take 3.
Yeah, just buy 3 of those and you're set. So yeah, the list that I was talking about, this person took Lilith with 10 witches, 3 Venoms, 3 Raiders, then Dreiser with a 5-man Incubi, 2 Archons with 10-man Incubi, a 3rd Archon with a Court of the Archon, a 10-man Cavalite Warrior, 2x5 Scourges, a single Chronos, and 3 5-man Mandrakes.
So no Talos. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if maybe he ran out of points and just had to settle for the Chronos or what, but yeah, I agree. I think the Talos is way better than the Chronos.
But anyway, after reading through it and reviewing everything, I definitely think that the detachment has a lot more potential than maybe I originally thought. I don't think that it makes Druhkari crazy. I don't think it brings them back from the grave. But I do think it is better than the original detachment because there isn't an original detachment, essentially. And I think that there's a lot of potential here for really competent stuff. But at the end of the day, no matter how many buffs you stack on these guys, you're walking around with a lot of Strength 5, AP 1. And it's just going to make it really hard to go into a lot of lists when you're relying on a half a dozen Strength 14 shots to go through to put the opponent back on their toes. But I do think this detachment has a lot of potential to fight certain lists and not really give them an answer.
Yeah, I think this style list is going to be really good into anything that. I think things with the fight on death ability, are going to just be devastating to this detachment. Because this detachment hinges on being able to go in, pop something, jump back in the boat, in my opinion.
Right.
And if you take that away from them, they will just fold, I think. I do think, though, that overall, I think you're going to see a lot of really good results by some good players with this detachment, because I think it's going to be a very high skill cap army.
I agree. I don't think this is something that you can walk in as a beginner or even a beginner to Druhkari and expect to see really confident results from.
No, I don't think. I think me or you would struggle to pick this up tomorrow and take it to a tournament and go positive.
I would need to play a few dozen games with it to even
For
start
sure.
positive win rate.
For sure.
But that is the deep dive into the new Druhkari detachment. So thank you guys for sitting through and going over it with us, and I look forward to seeing it on the table, and hopefully we'd like to start doing some battle reports, and maybe you will see us get a chance to put it on the table. But
yeah, hopefully I get to play this at Cherokee. I'd be excited to see it on the table.
Oh, absolutely, and let everybody know how it goes at some point. But this has been Late Night Hobbies. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Follow us
I do
on...
want to add one thing, Tony, before you close out.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Saturday. We're going to talk about Black Templars, just to go ahead and get people excited. Black Templars is personally one of my favorite factions, and we will be having a guest on that episode.
Absolutely, and it's not going to be an episode that you want to miss. So if you want to make sure that you catch it, follow us on Twitch, follow us on YouTube to watch the stream archive, and join the official Discord for all news and everything Late Night Hobbies. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you.